Kim and his team have plans not only to meet with US President Donald Trump on Wednesday, but also the leaders of Vietnam.
That is true. We are hearing that Kim Jong-un is planning to meet the Vietnamese president, and there is also a high possibility for Kim to sit down with the prime minister of the country as well as the National Assembly chairwoman. And there is also a possibility that Kim Jong-un could take a tour around some economic facilities in Vietnam, such as Haiphong, the industrial port town, or maybe Bac Ninh, where South Korea's Samsung Electronics also has a smartphone factory in.
Yeah, we heard a couple of weeks ago how one of the North Korean officials currently in Vietnam was apparently doing a bit of a vehicle tour around Samsung's facilities in Vietnam, perhaps taking a look at the South Korean tech giants' activities in the Southeast Asian country. They produce an awful lot of the things that go into Samsung smartphones, TVs, and other electrical equipment in Vietnam. Slightly cheaper labor over there. We are hearing that the train has pulled into the station. We can see it there in the back of your screen, the armored iron-clad, perhaps titanium-clad train that is Kim Jong-un's. Jung-hee, anything you'd like to add at this point?
Well, yeah, that is the special train that we saw a lot of times. That train Kim Jong-un has taken to his visits to China as well. And, you know, just yesterday, North Korea's Korean Central TV as well released the footage of Kim Jong-un and his delegation getting into the special train. And that green train is the heavily fortified train that we saw on North Korean television. From that train, Kim Jong-un and plus his entourage, including the regime's foreign minister and plus some top nuclear negotiators, including Kim Yong-chol, Choi Sun-hee, some other people also in charge of economy could also get out. He's got some 8 close aides traveling with him to Vietnam.
If you can just give us a rundown then of some of the top officials that are with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. We don't know exactly the schedule for the summit in Singapore. The US officials, the counterparts, sat across from each other during parts of the summit. Whether that happens this time in Hanoi remains to be seen, but we do know that the North Korean foreign minister, the chairman of the Central Committee there in the north, as well as the chairman of the Supreme People's Assembly Budget Committee. They're all there as well, including the defense minister. So can you tell us a bit more about this delegation as we wait for North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to depart from the train?
Well, sure. I mean, 2 people that I have to mention are Kim Yong-chol and Choi Sun-hee. These are some top nuclear negotiators who've been deeply involved in denuclearization talks with the United States. I mean, Kim Yong-chol has visited the United States for high-level talks with Secretary Mike Pompeo and has also met with US President Donald Trump. Other than these people, I have to say Lee Soo-yong, who's the head of the North Korean ruling party's International Affairs Department. He's known as the diplomacy expert in North Korea. And plus, there is Ri Yong-ho, who's the regime's foreign minister. And other than them, there's, of course, Kim Yo-jong, who's the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un's sister, and at the same time, a very close aide. We've been able to see her a lot of times at every summit that Kim Jong-un had, especially at the September summit in Pyongyang. Other than them, we've got a defense minister, Ro Kwang-chol. We've got Kim Pyong-hae, who's in charge of, personnel management. And other than these, one person we have to especially note is Oh Soo-yong, who's the chairman of the North Korean Parliament's Budget Committee. I mean, we know that this person used to be North Korea's minister in charge of electronics and the vice minister in charge of manufacturing. So,
well, he's the guy that a lot of people refer to as North Korea's man in charge of the economy. So it's going to be very interesting to see, especially as President Trump keeps on mentioning that he says, North Korea, if you abandon your nuclear weapons and come to the table and become a regular nation again, you have a fantastic, fabulous economic future laying ahead of you.
Yes, that is true. And of course, because North Korea and the U.S. are anyways visiting Vietnam, the exemplary economic development case for North Korea, we're expecting that this person could also accompany Kim Jong-un to some of the economic facilities that he might tour. Like, for example, we're hearing that Kim Jong-un could visit Bắc Ninh province, he could visit, Haiphong, he could visit Ha Long Bay, which are all related to, industrial facilities, economic reform, plus boosting the tourism industries. And all these could have to do with Woo Soo-yong being there and telling Kim Jong-un in what parts, North Korean regime will have to improve.
Okay, we are looking at the screen there, what appears to be the limousine that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will take for this road trip from that train station on the Vietnam-China border to Hanoi. It looks as though he might be getting straight into his vehicle, walking up that short red carpet there. Only looks to be about 50 to 100 meters long. I'm sure he'll give some brief pleasantries to the gathered officials there, but perhaps he does want to get on to the road. As Jung said, there has been some speculation that he might take 1 or 2 stops on his way down to Hanoi, but absolutely nothing has been confirmed as of now. As I mentioned before, we can see the security, the very heavy security we first witnessed in real time for the first time when there was the first summit between Kim Jong-un and South Korean President Moon Jae-in. We'll await to see how long they can run alongside that vehicle as the limousine prepares to make its way out of the station. We are still awaiting the appearance of Kim Jong-un. Perhaps he's just getting his things in order. The delegation is making sure they're all going to come out in the correct order.
I mean, the Vietnamese officials were getting ready for this welcoming ceremony. They put a lot of efforts in this. I mean, I even heard that the Vietnamese officials actually had a fake Kim Jong-un model, like standing, at that Dong Dang station over there, and they practiced a lot for this welcoming ceremony. I mean, they've been, having the red carpet, they've been cleaning up, but the most interesting part that I heard was that they had a fake Kim Jong-un, standing there to have the best welcoming ceremony.
Yes, you can never be too careful with such an important person, and Vietnam will be very cautious to make sure not only Kim Jong-un but President Trump have a safe stay and a comfortable one in Vietnam for the duration of the next couple of days. It's hard to overstate how important this summit is for North Korea, the US, South Korea, and the world, but especially for Vietnam, because the eyes of the world are on how well they have prepared for this summit between the most powerful man in the world and Kim Jong-un, a man we knew very little about until a few years ago. It appears the door has been lined up with the red carpet now, a bit of maneuvering going on. Perhaps we'll see the door open soon, and then we can continue our discussion on what happens next.
Well, one thing I want to add is that this is the first time for a North Korean leader to visit Vietnam in over 50 years. I mean, the previous time that a North Korean leader has visited Vietnam is in 1958 and in 1964. Okay, we're seeing North Korean leader's sister Kim Yo-jong coming out of the train. She is a very close aide to North Korean leader. She's getting back in.
She got back
train.
in the train. Yeah.
I guess she's getting ready for this welcoming ceremony as well.
Yeah. So we are expecting North Korean leader Kim Jong-un to step off that train in a couple of minutes' time. High stakes summit. We are all hoping that the two leaders, the President of the United States and the Chairman of North Korea, can really hammer out something tangible, something that is going to get the denuclearization process back on track. And hopefully there is talk about the potential for some declaration to end the Korean War. That truly would be remarkable as well. We await to see Kim Jong-un. The last time we saw him in public, Jung-hee, would have been a few months ago, really, apart from some still photos or some propaganda videos out of North Korea's. And here we see now, Kim Jong-un is departing from the train wearing his traditional black suit there. He is making his way. It's a touch dark right now, but he's going to shake hands with the North Korean officials who have been already locked in negotiations about drawing up a declaration that will come out after this summit. So let's keep our eye on the video, shall we, Jung-hee?
Yes, and there we see top North Korean officials lined up to come out after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un just received a,
bouquet.
received some flowers from the Vietnamese officials, and there we see North Korea's top nuclear negotiator Kim Yong-chol, who met with Secretary Pompeo several times. And I'm also seeing Lee Soo-yong, who's the head of the ruling party's International Affairs Department. I've just mentioned that he's a diplomacy expert in North Korea.
Well, it is a who's who of the North Korean leadership, as you would expect for a summit of this magnitude. We will see them walk up the red carpet. Kim Jong-un looking rather fresh. He doesn't look like a man who's taken a 2.5-day train visit. So perhaps we were correct in our assumption that he's been eating well and resting well during his journey. And yes, he's meeting and shaking hands with everyone. Security very, very tight, of course, as Kim Jong-un makes his way towards his armored limousine as well, something similar to the Beast, which the US president will presumably take when he arrives in Hanoi. He's set to arrive late on Tuesday. He is taking Air Force One, different mode of transportation for President Trump.
And some Vietnamese citizens welcoming the North Korean leader.
Yeah, there's a bit of a scrum going on with cameramen trying to jostle for the best position to get the best image of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But we can see him much clearer now that he stepped out of the station. We can see his generals behind him, his mini army of bodyguards ready to protect him. And yes, so he's getting straight into his limousine where he will be driving to Hanoi, to his hotel, try and get a bit of rest before the next 2 days, which promise to be a couple of days packed with diplomacy. And Jung-hee, like you say, this really is a proud day for the people of Vietnam as well. North Korea and Vietnam share a great many things in common, including their political ideologies, of course.
Yeah, of course. I mean, another reason why Vietnam was chosen as the summit venue was because it's not only because of the rapid economic growth that Vietnam achieved, but it's also because Vietnam has maintained its Communist Party in terms of achieving a free market economy. So, yeah, I mean, what North Korea wants is to keep its communist regime. And in terms of that, Vietnam is a very good exemplary case. And Vietnam and North Korea actually had a lot of ups and downs in terms of their diplomatic relations since 1950s. And also, I mean, in 2017? I mean, North Korean leader's half-brother, in terms of an alleged killing of his half-brother, it appeared that a Vietnamese woman is involved, and that's when the relations between the two countries actually went to the lowest level. But it's restored again. North Korea's foreign minister has visited Vietnam to learn from the economic development model, and here we're seeing Kim Jong-un and his delegation to see Vietnam, and possibly, it's about 2-hour or 3-hour drive to Hanoi, and on this way, nothing's for sure, but Kim Jong-un could visit some of, some facilities, industrial facilities in the country.
And as we mentioned, the trip will take a couple of hours, and Hanoi is starting the process as well of going into lockdown, as it will stay that way for the next 2 days as Kim Jong-un and President Trump stay in the Vietnamese capital. The entire city will be on lockdown for the duration of their trip until they safely leave Hanoi. We are seeing Chairman Kim's vehicle leave the station now. He is being ushered along by his team of bodyguards there. We'll see how long they keep up the chase. No, it appears they are going to jump into another vehicle and follow the North Korean leader as he makes his way to Hanoi. Well, that was quite something, wasn't it, Jung-hee?
Yes,
the
yes.
first part of what promises to be an extremely busy day for us here in the Arirang newsroom. Do stay with us, of course.